Greetings, geeks and nerds. I'm Lazy Universe and White and Nerdy. And 2025 marks a big, humongous year for a lot of things. Like, for example, the 30th anniversary of Toy Story. But I'm going to talk about one of my all-time favorite Batman and superhero movies just in general. And for me, when I was only 10 years old, this movie, or 10 to 11 years old, this movie was the most extreme thing that I was waiting for. I remember seeing this movie a lot on TV. I remember being hyped as hell for this movie, and also I have a little story to tell you guys at the end of this too. But it's been 20 years since Batman Begins. I sincerely remember taking this movie out from Blockbuster and begging my parents to, and I was up that entire weekend watching this movie non-stop. Not kidding either. I am, of course, going to be talking about the 20th year anniversary of Batman Begins and seeing if it still holds up to this day. This will be my review, retrospective, whatever you want to call it, upon Batman Begins. So if nobody has seen Batman Begins yet and you're watching this review, just be forewarned for those that haven't seen it that there will be spoilers. So again, if you haven't seen Batman Begins yet, but you want to watch this review, just be forewarned that there will be some slight spoilers in this. Aside from that, please enjoy the following 20-year anniversary. Before Batman Begins actually came out, just keep in mind that the only last live adaptation that we had of Batman was Batman and Robin, which... yeah, we in the Batman community share a love-hate relationship with that movie. It's like, it's okay if you like it. There are some things of that movie to like. But I lean towards the side of more that kind of hates it. The more that you really stop and understand the film, the more that you kind of hate it and everything. But I do get why people do like it. So it's been basically years before we got another one. And Chris Nolan did his homework with bringing us Batman Begins. Now, it's been 20 years since Batman Begins came out, and I remember being hyped as hell for this movie. So, 20 years later, think about that. 20 years since this movie came out. That's amazing. And I share a personal connection with this movie because it was the one that I was most excited for when I was 10 years old. Yeah, like, if I was ever doing back in old days of YouTube, those were the days, I probably would have reviewed this movie, and if I ever did a top 10 favorite films, this would have easily have been in my top 10 and my top 5 favorite category, that it was amazing. And it still is amazing. So, with that all said, and I might do the Dark Knight, the Dark Knight movie and the Dark Knight Rises movie in the future, but no promises. So, let's go back to nostalgia. Let's put on those rose-tinted glasses, bring yourself some popcorn and a drink, because you're going to need it, and let's travel back to 20 years, when we didn't have any Batman movies for quite some time. Well, we had Batman animated series and whatnot, but no Batman movies. That is until a young Christopher Nolan came into the picture with Batman Begins. So does Batman Begins still hold up to this day 20 years later? Well, let's dive back to the time machine and do the time warp again. This is my review and retrospective upon Batman Begins, so let's get to it. When this movie begins, we actually meet Bruce Wayne. He's actually traveling to be trained at the local, basically martial arts academy that he's searching for. Eventually, he's met by a mysterious man, a man who will become his teacher. Even though his name is Picard, we would soon learn and recognize him as the great Ra's al Ghul.
Allow me to introduce myself. I am he who is called Ra's al Ghul.
Oh, whatever, Ra's, Raz, Razzie-Taz, Razzie-Tazzy, whatever. He basically offers Bruce a chance to train with him and to learn the styles of the true ninja. But we do get a couple of flashback scenes, and they're good for what they're worth, showing Bruce happy with his mother and father, as his father basically raised him to be well and to be a smart young man. Except, here's this thing that I kinda don't like about Batman Returns. See, Batman is usually inspired by one great superhero, but here he's inspired by bats. He becomes so scared that his parents are forced to leave with him because, well, he's getting terrified. That is until they run into Joe's show, and you all know what happens here.
Circumstances aside, it was kind of enjoyable to be a kid again.
I haven't been a kid since I was 8 years old.
Now, when I said at first that the thing that Batman Begins kind of didn't do, I suddenly realized before I started to make this video. See, one of Batman's main influence, actually two main influences that Bob Kane had talked about, is how Batman was an inspiration from the Zorro movies with Douglas Fairbanks at the time, and also Sherlock Holmes. Now, yes, unfortunately, Batman Begins is not a detective movie, so the cases of Sherlock Holmes are completely disbanded until the sequel. However, we do have to give credit where credit is due because Batman Begins actually is taken off of a Zorro movie. It's taken off one of my favorite Zorro movies, and no joke, Batman Begins almost is a mirrored version, more or less, which we'll have to take some explanation. It's basically Batman Begins is a mirror, carbon copy, almost to a T, of my favorite Zorro movie with Antonio Banderas and Anthony Hopkins. It's completely almost a parody of The Mask of Zorro, or at least a full mirrored copy of that movie. Stop and think about it. In Batman, he was not willing to be discovered. It took Ra's al Ghul in order to discover the Dark Knight. He saw true potential within him. Very similar to the Mask of Zorro, when Don de la Vega, basically realizes Alejandro and realizes the true potential that Alejandro had within him just that he didn't find just yet. But there is a difference between the two. Batman is trained to basically be the world's greatest assassin, which of course he never wanted to become an assassin until he turned against his master. With Alejandro fully accepting what he was supposed to be, a replacement for the legendary Zorro, which of course he ended up doing and ended up saving his master pretty much well. Which he actually served his master well, that at the end of the movie, when he started passing on, he was very proud of him and the man that he became toward the end of his journey. Unlike Batman, who at the end of his journey had to go against his teacher because his teacher, who became cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, was dependent on world power and he was an immortal tyrant.
Bullshit. No.
When you stop and think about it, it's a little bullshit. Though I do have to give Christopher Nolan credit is that he used two villains that we have not seen in live action adaptation. At least not in film adaptation. Because in Batman 89, the main villain was the Joker. And Batman Returns, which I reviewed for Christmas, it was Catwoman and Penguin. And Batman Forever, it was Two-Face and Riddler. And Batman and Robin, it was Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy. And in Batman Begins, it was Scarecrow and Ra's al Ghul, which is a pretty good combination of the two, because they both kind of want the same thing. Ra's al Ghul wants to see the world be destroyed, and he thinks that the best way to do so is to team up with Jonathan Crane with his fear toxins, which basically can drive a person mad, which is a pretty good thing that he actually did, surprisingly. Is that he actually basically managed to do that, and Christopher Nolan found a way to make both villains team up actually make sense. Because in Batman and Robin, Poison Ivy kind of tricked Mr. Freeze into working with her, thinking, oh, we'll help your wife, even though she had no intention of helping out Freeze with his wife at all. Her only intention was to save the plant for herself, so you can see how it's just a little, great how they managed to pull it off instead of, I'm tricking you because you're a douchebag. Plants forever, baby. And you might probably ask yourself, is Batman Begins, if you haven't seen it, is it long? Yes, it kind of is long and it kind of is monotonous because it has so many scenes going for it, but that's because Nolan took inspiration Batman Year One, which mostly revolved around Batman early steps, like baby steps into him becoming Batman. And yet, while this film does take its time building up to that high mark, it still is very captivating with the way that Christian Bale really handled Bruce Wayne. Now, a lot of people always said, basically for Spider-Man, who's the best Spider-Man, who's the best Peter Parker. Nobody really kind of does that with Batman. They just have people pick their favorite. But above all, I have to give credit where credit is due to Christian Bale because he, for me, is my favorite Bruce Wayne. He really does capture the emotion of a person who lost everything. A man that comes back from out of nowhere and wants the world to be like it was when he was a kid. He wants to give people the chance that he never had when he was younger. The chance that people would not have to fear criminals anymore. Gives them something of symbol, a symbol of hope.
As a man, I'm flesh and blood. I can be ignored, I can be destroyed, but as a symbol, I can be incorruptible.
He really mostly just wants to do the best that he can, live up to his parents' expectations, but at the same time, he wants the criminal to get what's coming to them. And Bruce decides the best way to honor my parents is to dress up like a big giant flying rodent and strike fear into the hearts of criminals. Yeah, why not?
What the hell are you? I'm Batman.
Brucey also has a new love interest in this movie, known as Rachel Dobbs. This is her only character appearance, and she's a pretty interesting character throughout the movie before she, unfortunately dies. Back in 2005, Batman Begins was a movie worth waiting for. It was a cinematic reappearance of Batman, something that we've all been waiting for. And as a Batman fan, yeah, back in 2005, Batman Begins was the movie I was waiting for. In fact, I was such a big nerd of this movie when I found out that there was a video game tie-in. I forgot where I figured this out, on TV or the internet, one or the other. I was so hooked on this movie, I actually begged and pleaded my parent to actually buy me the game. Well, back in March of 2005, this was after my birthday. It was before or after my birthday, like around February, March. Me and my sister come home from school, which of course we had like the entire week off as you would usually do. And inside the mailbox was this in a package for me, and I absolutely loved it. And also, my mom is so badass because I kind of suck at video games. Kind of. And I was having a hard time getting through a lot of the levels. But I had asked my older sister for help with some of the puzzles and whatnot, especially the key puzzle. That took me so long to get used to how that worked, truthfully. But I was actually so surprised when I got this, and my mom is so badass that she printed out a game packs, I think. I don't know. She printed me out an entire walkthrough. That thing was like 30 pages of just printer paper, like that thick, just so I had an idea of what I can do for this game. And this was before video game walkthroughs were available on YouTube, I'm pretty certain. My mom is that badass, people. Oh, yeah. So, you probably are wondering that as great as the movie as Batman Begins is, does it still hold up to this day? Hell yes, it does. It's a wonderful and fantastic movie that begged to be watched for you. It really is a beautiful film, beautifully crafted and handled by Christopher Nolan, and also the story by David S. Goyer and Chris Nolan was exceptional. And David S. Goyer knows how to write good superheroes because of his JSA run with Geoff Johns. He is exceptional at doing so. And the score by Hans Zimmer is the chef's kiss on top of this already delicious meal. The acting, again, is mostly superb. Christian Bale really owns it as Batman. Unfortunately, he had to talk like this throughout the entire movie and ruin his vocal cords. Seriously, that actually did happen. But everybody was exceptional in this, from the great Michael Caine as Alfred Pennyworth to the great Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox. This movie is just exceptional all the way around. I'm actually really surprised that Liam Neeson really did pull off a good Ra's al Ghul. Long since the days of David Warner, Liam Neeson did well with what he was handled. With what he was handed. I'm not going to give this film a Funko Pop rating because it still is a film that begs to be seen. Like, there are so many people that still haven't seen this movie because a lot of people complain, it's too long, damn it! This is what we got to hold us over. Just like with the Superman movie, people are happily excited for, me included. Thank you. But back in the day, this was what we got, and this was worth it. So if you have the time, and if you are fully exceptional, I'm pretty sure that everybody's gonna laugh their ass off at that, including my girlfriend. So, if you have the time and the chance, please do check out Batman Begins. It is an awesome film that really needs to be seen. It begs to be seen. If you like The Dark Knight and if you like The Dark Knight Rises, then see where it all began with Batman Begins. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you're notified every single time I make an upload. I believe in your voice. I brought Nudie, keep it on. And happy 20-year anniversary to Batman Begins this year. And this is just such a phenomenal film. And if you have seen this movie, then be sure to tell me in the comment section down below. And also, please do tell me which is your favorite Batman movie and who is your favorite Batman. Is it Christian Bale, Kevin Conroy, Adam West? Please feel free to share in the comment section down below. And were you as excited as this movie as I was back in 2005? Let me know in the comment section down below too. And also, have you played the Batman Begins game? I would love to do this at some point, like by myself, or do it together with my girlfriend, because this game really needs to be played. I just don't have a PlayStation 2 to do it though. Yeah. But yeah. But anyways, please do share your thoughts and opinion on either Batman Begins, the movie, or the video game in the comment section down below. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I believe Universe, I believe Nudie, keep geeking on. Happy 20th anniversary to Batman Begins. And until next time, guys, as always, keep geeking on and take care.